The Carly Gregg case, a shocking family tragedy. On March 19th, 2024, in the quiet town of Brandon, Mississippi, a horrific event shattered the peace of the Smiley family. Carly Gregg, a 14-year-old girl who seemed ordinary to most, committed an act of violence that left her community in disbelief. That fateful day began like any other. Ashley Smiley, a 40-year-old high school math teacher, was preparing for another day of classes. Her husband, Heath Smiley, had already left for work. Carly, their teenage daughter, was getting ready for school. No one could have predicted the tragedy that was about to unfold. At approximately 6:30 a.m., Carly retrieved a .357 Magnum handgun from her parents' room. The family's kitchen surveillance camera captured her pacing around the house, hiding something behind her back. Her movements were deliberate, almost calm. At 6:42 a.m., the chilling sounds of 3 gunshots and a woman's screams echoed through the home. Carly had confronted her mother, Ashley, in her bedroom. Without warning, she fired 3 shots, ending her mother's life instantly. The teen then returned to the kitchen, casually texting and playing with her dogs as if nothing had happened. The surveillance footage showed her walking back and forth, occasionally glancing at her mother's lifeless body visible through the doorway. But the horror wasn't over. At 7:03 a.m., Carly texted a friend, asking if they were squeamish around dead bodies. Then, using her mother's phone, she lured her stepfather, Heath Smiley, home. Her text message read, "Come home now. Emergency." Unsuspecting, Heath rushed back to the house. When Heath arrived at 7:21 a.m., Carly was waiting. As he opened the door, she fired, hitting him in the shoulder. Despite the injury, Heath managed to wrestle the gun away from her in a desperate struggle. Bleeding and in shock, he made a frantic 911 call at 7:24 a.m. "Gun went off in my face before the door was open," Heath later testified. "She killed her mom," he told dispatchers in his panicked call. The recording of this call would later become a crucial piece of evidence in the trial. The investigation unfolds. As news of the shooting spread, the small town of Brandon, with its population of just over 25,000, was left reeling. How could this happen in their quiet community? Why would a young girl do such a thing to her own family? The Rankin County Sheriff's Department quickly arrived on the scene. They found Ashley Smiley dead in her bedroom and Heath Smiley wounded but alive. Carly had fled the scene but was apprehended less than an hour later at a nearby park. The investigation revealed a troubling sequence of events leading up to the shooting. On March 18th, the day before the incident, one of Carly's friends had informed Ashley about some disturbing secrets. Carly had been using marijuana and had hidden phones her mother didn't know about. When Ashley discovered vape pens in Carly's room just before the shooting, it set off a chain of events that led to tragedy. Detectives uncovered more shocking details. Perhaps most chilling was the revelation that Carly had invited a friend over after the shooting. When the friend arrived, Carly allegedly asked her if she had ever seen a dead body before leading her to her mother's body and saying her stepfather was next. This friend, whose identity was protected due to her age, later became a key witness for the prosecution. As investigators dug deeper into Carly's life, they found a complex picture. On the surface, she was an exceptional student who had skipped the 4th grade and had no prior history of violence. Teachers and classmates described her as quiet but friendly. However, her journal entries hinted at darker thoughts. One particularly disturbing list found in Carly's possession included statements like, "You don't need family," and "Sometimes it's okay to be evil." Another entry read, "Water, fire, earth," followed by, "I choose fire. It is powerful, beautiful, and deadly. These are the traits I desire, so I choose fire." These discoveries raised questions about Carly's mental state and whether there were warning signs that had been missed. The trial. The trial of Carly Gregg began on September 16th, 2024, at the Rankin County Courthouse. The case had garnered national attention, and the small courthouse was packed with media and spectators. Over 5 days, The courtroom became a battleground of competing narratives. District Attorney Bubba Bramlett led the prosecution. In his opening statement, he didn't mince words, stating, "Carly Gregg is evil, and that's not easy to say. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes evil comes in young packages." The prosecution's strategy was to paint a picture of a calculated crime committed by a troubled but fully aware teenager. They presented the surveillance footage, which showed Carly's actions before and after the shooting. Text messages sent by Carly were also introduced as evidence, including those to her friend about dead bodies and the message luring her stepfather home. Heath Smiley's testimony was particularly powerful. He recounted the moment he arrived home, thinking there was an emergency, only to be shot by his stepdaughter. His emotional account of finding his wife dead and realizing what Carly had done left many in the courtroom in tears. The prosecution also called several of Carly's classmates and teachers to testify. They painted a picture of a girl who showed no signs of mental illness or distress in the days leading up to the shooting. But Carly's defense team, led by attorney Bridget Todd, told a different story. They argued that she was suffering from severe mental health issues at the time of the crime. Dr. Andrew Clark, a psychiatrist, testified that Carly might have had schizophrenia and was experiencing significant mood swings made worse by her medications. The defense painted a picture of a troubled teen failed by the system. This was not a bad kid. This was not a kid who was enraged. This is not a kid who had hatred in her heart for her mother or her stepfather. In fact, it was the exact opposite, Todd argued in her closing statement. They presented evidence of Carly's history of mental health treatment, including therapy sessions and medication changes in the months leading up to the shooting. They argued that these treatments may have exacerbated her condition rather than helping it. The trial also delved into Carly's home life. While on the surface, the Smiley family seemed happy, the defense suggested there were underlying tensions and pressures that contributed to Carly's mental state. The verdict and its aftermath. After 5 days of testimony and 2 hours of deliberation, the jury reached their decision on September 20th, 2024. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read. They found Carly Gregg guilty on all charges: first-degree murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. The sentencing phase began immediately. In less than an hour, the jury decided Carly's fate: life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 10 years for tampering with evidence. Carly, now 15, sobbed in court as she learned her fate. At just 15 years old, she would spend the rest of her life behind bars. The image of the young girl, looking even smaller in her oversized prison jumpsuit, crying as she was led away, was splashed across newspapers and TV screens nationwide. The verdict sparked intense debate. Many wondered if it was fair to give such a harsh sentence to someone so young. Was it right to treat Carly as an adult for such a serious crime? Others felt that justice had been served for Ashley and Heath Smiley. Just days later, on September 26, 2024, Carly's defense team announced plans to appeal the verdict. They argued that new evidence could change everything about her case, though they didn't specify what this evidence might be. Reflecting on a tragic story. As we look back on this case today, January 27, 2025, the Carly Gregg story continues to raise important questions about mental health and juvenile justice. How should society handle young people who commit violent crimes? What role does mental illness play in these situations? The case highlights the need for better mental health support for young people. It also underscores the complexities of the juvenile justice system, particularly when dealing with such severe crimes. Mental health experts have weighed in on the case, with many arguing that more could have been done to identify and address Carly's issues before they escalated to violence. Some have pointed to her journal entries as clear warning signs that were missed. The case has also sparked a debate about the use of life sentences for juvenile offenders. Advocates for juvenile justice reform argue that young people's brains are still developing, and they should be given the chance for rehabilitation rather than spending their entire lives in prison. As we reflect on this tragic story, we are reminded of the importance of open conversations about mental health with our children and communities. Understanding warning signs and providing support might help prevent such tragedies in the future. The Carly Gregg case serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of human nature and the devastating consequences when things go terribly wrong. It's a call for us to look deeper at the systems and structures in our society, to question our assumptions, and to strive for a justice system that can balance punishment with rehabilitation, especially when it comes to our youngest offenders. As the appeal process continues, many will be watching closely, hoping for answers to the many questions that still linger about this shocking case that forever changed a family and a community. The story of Carly Gregg is far from over, and its impact will likely be felt for years to come. What do you think about this case? Do you believe the sentence was fair or too harsh for someone so young? How can we as a society better address mental health issues in teenagers? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We cover many interesting and thought-provoking true crime cases, and your support helps us continue to bring these stories to light. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest uploads. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.